This week's reading from Living Wisely, Living Well, November 15th, is inspire others more by your example than by what you say. Next, seek to inspire them even more by your vibrations than by your example. An act of kindness may not be understood in the spirit you intended, but vibrations of kindness will influence people's feelings, changing them from within. Kindness is a vibration of consciousness and therefore has no boundaries. This is a very interesting reading for a few reasons, and it's mostly about kindness, which I will get more into. This is something that was, I think, to many people surprisingly dear and close to Swami Kriyanandaji's heart, this quality and vibration of kindness, and seeing people expressing that vibration. And I'll get into that in a few minutes. I wanted to start just talking about the way Swamiji starts by saying, inspire others more by your example than by what you say. Next, seek to inspire them even more by your vibrations than by your example. And so there's three levels of trying to inspire and change others that he's addressing here. One is the words that we say. The other one is our actions, which is our example. The third one is our vibrations. And he says that vibration is the most important. Actions without vibration, words without a degree of realization in the vibration of kindness, in this case, behind kind words, if there's no feeling of kindness, then the words and the actions will both be hollow, and they won't really change people. Swami Kriyanandaji once gave me some advice in an inadvertent way about trying to only act in order to please others or to be, quote, just an example or a role model. And it was surprising to me, but it was very clear what he was trying to say. Somebody was trying to get me to act in a certain way and to start doing something. And at that time in my life, I wasn't ready to do it. And I just was unable to do it. And they were really trying hard because of the example that I would be as a role model. And I happened to walk into a conversation that Swamiji was having with this person. And I believe that they were talking about my situation. Because Swamiji said very strongly to the person, he said, I have never myself acted only to be an example or a role model. All of my actions come from within. And so for him, all of his actions came from that inner vibration, from that consciousness, and permeated outward, and informed and affected, and it was expressed through his words and his actions. But it started from within. And that is the highest way that we can change people. Kindness is so interesting because we think of kindness, and I'll talk more about this quality of kindness. We think of kindness on several levels. Again, we think of kind words that someone says. And even when someone says kind words that affect us and touch us, really, if you dig deep, it's not the words. Because there are people who have said the same words, but just to maybe please us, or because they feel bad about doing something and it's their way of apologizing, etc. But we remember it when there is the vibration of kindness behind the words. And so, yes, work on acting with kindness, work on changing our words to be more kind rather than cutting and sharp, which is a good thing to be working on, because this world already has too much of the harshness and the hardness of words that are a little sarcastic or a little bit hard. And this world needs more kindness. And so, yes, actions, example, words are all very good, but it's the vibrations that really change people. Swamiji, in this vein, one time said that Ananda teachers, really when they teach, they should understand that they're not just sharing teachings. He said they should be sharing bliss. And this is the divine bliss, the God realization, which comes as bliss. Swami Sri Yukteswarji said that ever new joy or bliss is God. And when we have God, we have this bliss. And he said we should consciously be trying to share that bliss. Whether you're a teacher or just a friend, we should try to be feeling joy and sharing, again, vibrations. Because again, kindness is a vibration of consciousness. So is joy in the end. So how do we work on changing ourselves to develop this vibration of kindness? And why? Why should we do that? Because I think sometimes people think that people who are overly kind tend to be taken advantage of frequently. And kindness is not sort of a wimpy, passive, low energy attitude. True kindness, and we see this in people who are very memorable, true kindness has a lot of power behind it. It has energy, it has calmness, it has great compassion, which is the sort of the root cause of kindness. I remember growing up, and I look back at all the teachers that I had, from kindergarten all the way through high school and into college. And there's two that I remember particularly. They both had the extreme quality of kindness. One was in the second grade, the other one was in high school. And that kindness had a real magnetism. And so this is what you will see, that kindness as a vibration of consciousness, when we develop that vibration, it creates a very strong magnetism. And people who are kind in this very magnetic and very powerful way have a lot of magnetism. They attract friends, they attract positive energies around them. And so this is why this quality of kindness is really so important in a certain way. And so I'll talk a little bit, or share a little bit what Paramahansa Yoganandaji said about developing this quality of kindness as a vibration, how to develop it, how to express it. And he wrote, "So remember this," he says, "develop a fine sensitiveness. After you meditate deeply, then use that perception and the sum total of the feeling that you have after meditation and concentrate that feeling in the heart. Then it will give you power to radiate good vibrations and to absorb good vibrations, and it will also give you wisdom." It's interesting because we think wisdom comes from the mind and concentrating here, but true wisdom is intuition, and it comes from the heart. And it's interesting that he says, at the end of meditation afterwards, concentrate that feeling in the heart. Then he goes on, let that peace vibration, and this is sort of an affirmation that he gives, let that peace vibration flow through my hands and eyes and through my speech and through every tube of my thought. And then he goes on to say, when that vibration flows on, you do not have to worry. If you are in hell or Hades, you will make a heaven there. And if you are in heaven, you will make it better. Let that vibration flow through your hands, eyes, and feet, and whoever comes in contact with you will feel its blessing. Isn't that interesting? I'll read that again. Let that vibration flow through your hands, eyes, and feet, and whoever comes in contact with you will feel its blessing. Just say, God flows through me. What am I afraid of? God flows through me. What am I afraid of? And wherever you are, that vibration will correct wrong surroundings. Only good vibrations can become absorbed in that spirit. And so he is saying here that if we, in a very magnetic way, carry those qualities, the heart quality, from meditation into activity, acting as an instrument for God to flow through us, consciously blessing others, praying for them, expressing the vibration of kindness and love, compassion in action and in words, you will find, as he says, that wherever you are, that vibration will correct wrong surroundings. And that is the power of magnetism. People who are very magnetic change and influence their surroundings. For better or for worse, you'll see that people who are very negative, but with a lot of energy, they start to ruffle your feathers or make you a little anxious, even if you're a yogi who's used to meditating, or they will cause other people to get negative. Then Yoganandaji concludes, suppose you come with kindness in your heart to a divine person who radiates that vibration. Then your kindness increases, and the giver receives more kindness too. This is the vibration you want to emanate from you. And so he's saying that give kindness. Kindness is a vibration, it's a quality, it's action, it's words. And when we consciously give kindness, give that compassion to others, he says that what it will do is it will allow you to receive much more from the universe, from saints, from sages. I saw this with the people who were around Swami Kriyanandaji very often, is that the people who tended to spend more time with him and who he had spending more time with him tended to think not in terms of what they were getting from him, but what they could give from him. And I could see that those who gave him the most, love, attention, kind service, that they also received the most. And it is also this way with God. When we love God, when we give our heart's quality to God, expressing it in action by serving others, by serving the saints in many ways, whether the saint is there physically or we are just serving the saint in fulfilling that saint's wishes in a certain way. And I'll explain here what I mean, which is that a few years ago, our teacher, Swami Kriyanandaji, left the body. And to varying degrees, it was hard for everybody. And I think in some ways, it was especially difficult for those who were serving him personally. But for many of us who at that time were not personally serving him, and for myself, I've always thought that everything that I do is service to my teacher. And it didn't end when he left the body. I continue to serve that great saint, my teacher, in everything that I do here in India, serving with the monks here and traveling to different parts of India to share these teachings. I feel like I'm serving a saint, Swami Kriyanandaji. And I have found that in that thought, that words, the action, that vibration of giving that to others, that I have received great blessings in return. Now, Swamiji, and the emphasis that he gave on this quality of kindness is very, very interesting. Somewhere near the end of his life, he was giving an interview. And you can find it online. If you email me, I can send you the link. And the person who was interviewing him was a woman minister in a very, very open Christian type of church in the United States, who was very familiar with Paramahansa Yogananda, his teachings, very reverential and respectful of those things. And she asked Swamiji an interesting question. She knew about Yoganandaji's life, and she said to Swamiji, and reminded him of a story. She said, Swamiji, she said to him, near the end of Yogananda's life, when it was indicated by him that he could be leaving the body before too long, and someone asked him, when you're gone, what can take your place? And Yoganandaji answered, and he said, only love can take my place. And this woman said, when Swami Kriyanandaji leaves the body, I think she knew that it was going to be before too long, what would Swami Kriyananda like to be his legacy that he would leave behind that could take his place? And Swamiji's answer was very interesting. I was surprised by his answer. And maybe perhaps now, after meditating on it for some time, I'm not so surprised. But he said, I would like my legacy to be kindness. And then he told an interesting story. He said that there was a visitor to Ananda, and this visitor met many, many people at Ananda. He stayed at our retreat and just had a wonderful experience. And then he said to Swamiji later, he said, I just could not believe the kindness that was expressed and given, and the vibration by extension, in every single person that I met. And to this person, Ananda's sort of hallmark and sort of expression and just sort of identifying feature was kindness. And Swamiji was more touched, I think, by that story than just about anything that anyone could say to him, because he understood that Ananda's greatest feature is kindness. Kindness to each other, the way we work with each other. And he was very touched to hear the affirmation of that vibration of kindness, which comes from divine love and divine compassion, and how this person saw it being expressed. And in fact, towards the end of his life again, someone came to him in India and just commented that this person meets a lot of different people from different spiritual organizations and gurus and groups. And he said something about Ananda. He said, you know, I can always tell Ananda people because they have such a unique vibration that is so strong and clear. And it is the vibration of kindness, humility, a certain softness. But obviously he was implying with great energy and power because it was notable for him to see. And this comes from the fruits, as Yoganandaji's reading here indicates. It's the fruit of meditation. And when we change our vibration, our consciousness, to one of giving compassion, giving love, giving kindness, because kindness simply is giving. It's giving generosity, it's giving friendship, it's giving love, consideration for others, it's giving help. And so that vibration starts in meditation. But as Yoganandaji expressed in this reading I shared, it shouldn't end in meditation. We should very consciously try to carry that vibration into outer activity. And you will find that, to use an example, true and deep love always finds outward expression. And you see this with a mother who loves her child. If the child is sick, the mother that truly loves will do everything she can to help her child. She'll try to figure out what's wrong, she'll try to find the best doctor, she'll try to find the best medicine. She will also love the child and console it and nourish it and try to feed it. But look at another example, a mother who just ignores the practical things that need to be done and just consoles and nurtures the child who's sick and doesn't really solve the problem. That's a much less active and generous expression of that quality of love. So real divine love and compassion and kindness, all these qualities are very closely related. That kind of quality, when it's true and deep and divine, looks for outward expression in a very natural way. It's not like you run around looking for people to help. It's just that in your day-to-day going through life, with family, with friends, with your job, with co-workers, people you meet, it just starts to become more and more natural to find a way to express kindness in helpful ways, in practical ways, in a smile, in a kind word that you say to a person. I saw this in Swami Kriyanandaji. When he was out just shopping or something like that, in town, going to a coffee shop or a restaurant, you saw the kindness and the compassion and the giving that he gave to each person, including the person just behind the counter taking his money and giving him his change. You could see that he was their friend and he was giving to them in the appropriate way for that moment. But it was very conscious, and you see because of that people were changed, as Yoganandaji said. And wherever you are, that vibration will correct wrong surroundings. And so it also gives us divine protection, because you'll find that if you exude kindness and positive energy, the next sentence of Yoganandaji's, only good vibrations can become absorbed in that spirit. Which means that when we're putting out good vibrations, in a way, that more than anything repels negative vibrations. A couple times in recent weeks, people have come up to me with the same story. They tell me that they meditate, have a wonderful meditation, and then they go to their corporate job here in India. And it's very difficult for them because of the vibrations. People are maybe worldly, they're maybe irritable, maybe they're angry, they lash out at each other. And even though in this one case, these people weren't expressing it towards this person I was talking to, they said it was very difficult. It made them lose the peace of their meditation. And I could see they were making a mistake that I made early on the spiritual path, which was to try to protect your peace and try to sort of hold on to it and defend, put your arms around your heart and defend yourself from those negative vibrations. But what that does is, one, it just makes us passive because we're kind of not expressing positive energy, so it's more of a passive approach. The other thing that it does, it makes us much less magnetic by pulling in on ourselves, and with a sense of fear and trying to push things away, it makes us less magnetic and therefore more susceptible to those vibrations out there. And so what I advise and what I have experienced in my own life is to go into that workplace and consciously send out vibrations of healing prayers. You can pray for the people who you're working with. You don't have to say a word about it. Just mentally send Yoganandaji's blessings or divine love, or ask Divine Mother to bless them. You can try to express the kindness that you feel in meditation and actively find a way to just be kind, be positive. And you will find, as I have seen, that if you do it with enough magnetism, that you can actually change the vibration of a workplace and the people that you're working with by your stronger magnetism. And you will also find that when people see that you have this very active expression of kindness and compassion and divine love, you will also find that people tend to behave better around you. Haven't you seen this? There are people who are highly revered, maybe in your family, your broader family, or in your neighborhood, and people tend to behave much better around those people. And purely because of the magnetism. And obviously, the strongest example of this is in the presence of saints. People tend to behave much better. They become a higher version of themselves, the highest version possible. This was the beauty of being around Swami Kriyanandaji, is that it wasn't, for me what was so fascinating was not watching all the time who he was and the vibration he had, but how it touched everybody in the room, and how everybody in the room became changed by that vibration. And so you will find that you don't have to be a saint to do that. It's a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. But if you work at consciously doing these practices and working with them, you'll find that you can start to affect the people around you and the situations around you and the vibrations around you. Swamiji wrote about kindness in his little booklet, Prayers and Affirmations. And we'll do an affirmation here together on kindness, on developing this quality of kindness in a very active and proactive way that creates a change of consciousness, vibration, and therefore magnetism. What Swamiji says, as a way of trying to develop this quality, he says, when you can view all human beings as members of your own extended family, your brothers and sisters, mothers, fathers, and children, then you will find, wherever you go, that love awaits you, welcomes you. It is God who gazes back at you when you behold him in all. I find this a beautiful practice when I'm walking in the busy streets of India. There are a lot of people. I also find I do this in airports, which have throngs of people from all religions and cultures. I very consciously try to see God in them. And as I practice this more and more over time, it becomes more than something I try to do. It's just something that becomes natural, that I see this beautiful divinity and light in all these children of God, in spite of their imperfections. Because in fact, this is how God sees all of us. This is how the saints see us. Then Swamiji goes on to talk about how to develop kindness. Kindness is the recognition that all are truly our own. Kindness comes from not minding how others feel about us. It comes from the simple understanding that kindness is its own reward, worth giving out to others, because the source of so much sweetness in ourselves. For those of broad sympathies, the very universe is home. And I'll just comment on one thing he says. It comes from the simple understanding that kindness is its own reward, not from minding how others feel about us. This is also a good practice. You will find that we cannot control how others act towards us, how others feel about us. We can control how we act towards others and how we feel about others. And if we do it with kindness, compassion, love, friendship, that is its own reward, because that vibration changes us and uplifts us. And so don't think so much about what others think about you or how they behave. Think more about how you can change your own action and your own vibration. So let's do this affirmation together that Swamiji gives us. And repeat after me. First loudly and then more quietly. The world is my home, and the human race my family. With God's kindness, I embrace all men. The world is my home, and the human race my family. With God's kindness, I embrace all men. And now more quietly, the world is my home, and the human race my family. With God's kindness, I embrace all men. And now mentally only, the world is my home, and the human race my family. With God's kindness, I embrace all men. And let's close with a prayer. Divine Mother, help me to see that by kindness to others, I attract not only their kindness in return, but thy kindness as well. May I be kind to others always. May my kindness act as a channel of thy unselfish love. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.